It was
Oh,
violent.
premature. But now he has it.
If there's one complaint, it's that it was premature.
Yeah, when you're pouring it before you even tell who you are or why you're here, tells you you're gonna need it.
Then that kind of week, year, 3 years.
Life. It's been
Yes.
that kind of life.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
So should we tell everyone who we are?
Let's do it. I'll let you go first.
Hey guys, it's Teri, your favorite crazy podcast host.
And I'm back. I
He's
don't think I'm going
back.
away. I'm a I'm a bad penny is what I am. But it's JT and I am going to try and match the crazy. It's not going to I've already matched it. I've jumped the bar. It's
What is a bad penny?
bad. I don't know because at this point I need any penny I can find.
And I was
There's
like,
no
what?
bad penny.
Okay, when you said that, I was like, but 100
I don't
pennies
even
makes $1, $5. I mean, 5 ones make, I'm just doing the math here. Is there such thing as a bad penny?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know where that phrase came from. Probably in a time of more you know, I don't know. I don't know where that bad penny phrase came from. It's a great question.
Is it just something you say all the time, or you just thought you would?
No, I just thought I would, let everybody know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm like that. I'm like that loose change in your pocket that you'll never use, but it still sits there. Um, that's what I am, you know. I'm the I'm that friend.
You're that friend.
I'm that
Okay.
friend.
Well, that friend kind of plays in to our topic today.
It kind of does. I don't know if I'm that friend,
I'm like, it's
but
crimes against friends, friends who commit crimes against friends. So, are you that kind of friend, JT?
no, I can't say that I am. I spend too much of my time talking about crime to actually have time to do crime. So that's
That's
my
fair.
reasoning there. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fair. Well, I
That's
do
my
want to
alibi.
do want to say thank you to everybody for joining us and for your patience. And I have to say, got some great emails and people posting in the Facebook group saying how much they missed us. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for allowing me to take a mental health break because I really needed it. Won't go into a lot of details, but I'm glad to be back recording with JT. And I think by getting back to doing what I love, and that's talking about crime, I will not go to prison for murdering a batshit baby mama who, unfortunately, I have to admit, is still missing with my grandson. But by talking about true crime, getting back to doing what I love, hanging out with you, JT, you're going to keep me out of prison.
Well, you have to stay out of prison because they come here for you. I'm just kind of like I'm the chaser to the actual shot. Um
Oh,
so, you can't you can't do the whole prison thing. I mean, you would own the prison within a week of being at the prison. I'm sure of this. However, don't leave me.
yeah, but I work because, in Texas, I was telling somebody, I've always been very proud that I was born and raised in Texas. I don't know if you pay attention to the news a lot about Texas, but won't get too political. Our state is fucked up. I used to love our governor back in the day, and I'm like, dude, you need to get your hands off my body and not tell me
Yep.
what to do. And that falls into like what my son and so many other dads deal with in
Yeah.
Texas. The state comes after you, make sure you pay your child support, which every dad needs to pay. I was a single
Mhm.
mom for years. I didn't get shit until they were much older. But the state should also make the mom follow the court order and let the dad know where the kid is and see the kid, or you get no money.
Yeah.
The two things, because if I go to the grocery store and want an apple, I can't just take the apple. I have to pay for the apple, right?
Unless you eat it before you walk out, but you can't eat children.
That's true.
So
Well, you
you
can,
heard
but
it
I
here.
think that's a different episode.
You heard it. Yeah, you're right. That's Mississippi. That's not Texas.
Well, I have to tell you, I told JT, I think just the name of the person for my case, but as we all know, I love bunny boilers, and this bitch be one of the biggest bunny boilers I have ever covered.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm ready to go.
I was telling, I have to give a shout out to my pink team. I told them I would. Hi, guys. I was telling them I had a meeting with them today. They're in the Philippines. I was telling them about the case, and they're like, what? What? Miss Teri, what? I was like, I told you this should be crazy.
It's insane.
And
ridiculous.
At the end of my case, please, I'm giving you a task, an action item.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make sure I give all of our male listeners the most important tip of the day.
I'm writing it at the top.
I mean, it is a big tip. I have to share it with every male I know.
Just the tip?
Just the tip. I guess we should say this episode contains graphic content, adult language, sexual innuendos, and may not be suitable for all listeners, and especially not your children.
Unless you're really cool. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't let my own kids listen to me. Let's be honest.
Well, that's what their mother tells them. Don't listen to your dad.
It's very true. It's not, you're not wrong. It sounded like a joke, but it's true.
It's not. I follow your wife on Facebook. I get it. One day we're going to have to meet face to face.
She's lovely. She puts up with me, and she's just lovely in general. I'm biased.
I say about a handsome hubby. Anyone who can put up with me going on 21 years, you know what? He's a saint.
Perfect. Now you can drink.
Now I can drink. And I'm drinking out of a glass my girlfriend made. This princess is powered by wine.
That's a Disney princess I can get behind.
Hey. Oh, what would my name be? Princess Wino?
No. Princess Sauvignon.
Oh, that or Princess Chablis?
Ooh,
Princess
I like
Rosé. Since I'm drinking rosé, because you rosé all day.
Rosé all day.
Yeah. What are you drinking? I am literally drinking a Prosecco Rosé by Ruffino because it was 81 in Austin, Texas today. And guys, it's not spring or summer yet.
No. It's like last week it got up to 78, and then 2 days later it was 34. So
Same thing here. It's going to be 42 tonight. I will be sleeping outside on my hammock again like I did last night. Yes, no, people do not come in my backyard and kill me. We do have locks on the gates.
I'll just be like, hey, nope. It's hard to drive from Virginia to Texas in that amount of time.
Yeah. So I'm glad to be back. But JT, I have to know, because I know you have been following this case closer than anybody I know. Tell me what you think about Mr. Murdaugh. I mean, everything.
Well, the first question is it Alex or Alec? And is it Murdaugh or Murdoch? Because apparently they pronounce it Alec Murdaugh. And I don't know why.
I haven't spelt that way, but that's only if you're what somebody told me that I mentioned the case to, who happens to be from the Carolinas.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't say Alec Murdaugh unless you're from there. It should be Alec Murdaugh if you're a Texas person.
Got it. Well, I'm going to call him Alex Murdaugh. No,
but isn't he Alex Murderer Murdaugh?
Yeah. For sure. There's a lot there. And I was live tweeting it throughout the entire last week and a half of the trial. So I was probably paying more attention to that than other things that I should be paying attention to. Boy, I wish I did this full time.
Were there
But
any surprises? Because I've seen the Netflix documentary, I've watched the Dateline.
yeah,
I didn't follow it overly close, but I've watched those things lately.
yeah,
But the minute I heard, I follow this lady on TikTok, Lori, the attorney, I think is her name.
mhm,
When she did a live thing about the Snapchat video they found on son Paul's
yep,
phone,
yeah,
changed my entire mind.
yeah. And I think that was really I think that was the clincher for the jury, but also it was that video, and I'm pretty sure a juror, there's always one who's going to go the next day to go talk to the news. But it was that video, and it was his testimony.
Oh, he
I
thought he was
think
going to get up and lawyer his way out of it, didn't he?
I think that was the surprise. That was the surprise in the case, is that he got up there to testify.
But why? Okay, I have to say, he's a narcissist. Why is anyone surprised he took the stand in his own defense?
Because
I mean,
there
you know,
was
his attorney
nothing
told
that
him not to.
right, and for sure. And he was so caught in lies, there was no way he was going to be able to keep up with everything, and he didn't. And it was just bad, and not only that, but he immediately admitted to all the money shit that he's done before the murders, where he's taken people's money and skimmed off the top.
But that
And
doesn't make him a murderer. So my whole thought
no,
was you got
no,
to keep it separate. But how
no, but
two
what it
different
does is it
guns? That's the
oh
part I'm
that's
stuck on. Two
that's not
different
hard.
guns. Okay,
They
explain.
wrote, well, I don't, I mean,
I mean, I know
the
you can carry
alternative
two
they came
different
up with,
guns.
yeah, the alternative they came up with for the defense was that there were two dudes, and I don't think that's a thing. But I mean, they always drive this golf cart everywhere, or like this ATV, whatever it is,
A
and it's
gator.
very easy just to drop those in there. And he could have been, I mean, he could have carried, he could have preset, he could have just brought in the
That's
gun
true.
to do um because I think what happened, and somebody's gonna get all up in my shit if I don't get this right, but
At
I
JT,
think
not at Teri, guys.
right.
Send your messages down.
He Paul turned around, he shot Paul in the stomach, and then Paul, instead of running away, Paul actually came at, and he shot him again. Paul fell, and I'm pretty sure then he switched guns to a very specific gun that is his family gun, that shoots very specific bullets, I think I saw.
Mhm.
And at that point, he aimed and fired at his wife, at Maggie. And I think because of Maggie's distance, I think that's enough time to drop one, pick up another. I really do. Um, and so it's possible. He's a lifelong hunter. His entire family is. So,
So, question, because you know me, I like to play devil's
yeah.
advocate. Do you
Uh-oh.
think his son, his living son, had anything to do with it?
I don't think Buster had anything to do with this one. I think Buster did kill Steven in
And that's
2015.
in 2015. That's what makes me wonder if all of this
Yeah.
is about to come out. So, I covered the case of Ethan Couch way back when,
Hmm.
the affluenza kid from Dallas.
Yep.
This family is the affluenza family. They thought money was just going to buy their way out of everything. But if Buster killed Stephen, why is it such a far fetch to think he didn't shoot his mom and brother with his dad? Because he just
I
took
mean,
the
I guess it's very
stand
possible.
for his
Yeah.
dad. I'm assuming the cops
Yeah.
checked it out. He must have had a great alibi. I don't know. Um, I decided not to look into that particular case
Hmm.
because I was more frustrated and had planned on covering the boating accident.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Which is
then
another thing.
when this happened, I was like, I'm done with it. I'm just done with
Yeah.
this family because now everybody has forgotten about the beautiful young girl.
That's the difficulty for me, is that yes, absolutely, 100%. Paul and Maggie were victims of murder, right? For
Mhm.
sure. But Paul himself also was like insanely drunk behind a boat, not listening to people driving, and killed somebody doing that. And he never even got put in handcuffs.
But he was raised that it was okay for him to be that way. His parents, they were giving him alcohol. And that's why I wanted to cover the boat case, because in Texas, if your child is 16, 17, or I think it's 17 and up, your parents could buy a glass of wine and hand you one glass in a restaurant. That's it. If they do it at home and give it to one of your friends, you go to jail.
Yeah.
These people were given alcohol to all of the kids, and the other families knew it.
The interesting part to me is that I think out of the long line of crimes that they've committed, that one seemed like it's probably not so bad.
But look what it led to.
Oh yeah. No, it's a combination of that, and then also I'm a Murdaugh. I can get away with anything. And there's nothing else that is, his dad proved is I mean, he just over and over again, Paul was just calling his grandfather, get me out of this, get me out of this, get me out of this.
Well, and they tried to buy the other kid's silence at the hospital after the wreck, tried to say that it was cousin driving, Ethan, or I think whatever his name was. Sorry.
They call him Cotton Top. That's all I remember.
Cotton Top. But it's like, why would you instantly do that? And the cops believed you. He was sitting there with the cops. You see on that. If it would have been you or me or our kids, they would have been in handcuffs to the bed there in the emergency room.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think there's something to be said for the power that the Murdaughs had in that town. And I think that it trumped everything. And not just that they got away with everything, but that people were so scared of them that they wouldn't even say anything to the police about what they've done in the past. Like they literally bought their silence with power. They didn't even have to use their money.
They led by fear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They basically put the fear in everybody.
I'm interested to see what comes out now that he's in jail. Because Buster has a long ass way to go before he becomes his dad, if he makes it that far in terms of like not going to jail. Because I think they open up the Stephen case again.
Did you see the headlines today about, I didn't read it because I was like, oh, I bet JT knows. I'm not going to read it. That there may have been a crime back in 1949 or 59.
Grandpa?
On a train track.
I mean, I did. Oh, Jesus.
Saw the headline.
Southern?
I was like, did they kill the grandfather?
I don't know. It's just really weird. It was
on CNN headline.
There was so much. I don't know about Grandpa. I truly think that the motive here, it wasn't money, although he was leaking money. And
but did they have a life insurance policy on Matt? Because I never heard anyone say that Maggie or Paul had a life insurance policy.
I don't know.
Or was it just not significant enough? Because he was hemorrhaging money. So why would you kill him if you didn't have a policy on him? Because he bought a policy before they killed the maid.
Because there was so much shit that was about to come out about him that he was looking to distract. It's the exact same reason that once this happened, he tried to orchestrate his own suicide. Because he's narcissistic enough to want to go out on his own terms and want to go out as a hero before everything else comes out, because he goes and they stop investigating. Right. So
true.
There's the narcissistic personality of Alex Murdaugh, the thought that he could get away with all of this without a problem, the insane concept that he, between power and whatever money he had left, and thinking that he could act his way out of this. I can't even imagine. I can't put myself there because I wouldn't. Like I could.
What about? I read something sometime back, or maybe it was on the TV thing, that he said he was taking 60 Oxycontins a day. Please tell me how you're functioning as an attorney.
He's not.
Okay. I mean, not saying he didn't have an addiction problem. Maybe he's taken 10 a day. But please tell me, even addicts who have built up tolerance
Yeah,
that
no.
I've heard. They're not taking 60 a day.
It was either him trying to use that as a defense and just grasping at straws, or the amount, because he was basically paying somebody 50 grand a week, and he said it was for his habit. And there's no anybody who knows Oxy, like you can't, unless they're like unless they're like covered in gold,
Yeah, I was
right?
like,
They're
that's
not
a
costing
lot
that
of
much.
money.
It's a lot. And so I think it was either he's a dealer,
Or he's paying
or he
hush
has
money.
dealers, or it's blackmail. Exactly. It's hush
He's
money.
paying hush
So
money.
so there's no human no human can take 60 oxy in a day. Um, that's just not a, I can't, that's not a thing.
I didn't think so. And I'm like,
No.
I can't even take a half of one and be awake.
Yeah. If
I take a half
for
and I'm out for 2 days.
you can be a functioning addict to oxy, but that many, nobody's functioning.
I was like, say, how
You're
could you?
lucky if you're not even breathing.
You're like
So
drooling down your
yeah,
thing.
it's just not possible.
So, verdict. Of course, he's going to be in prison. Do you think he will survive being in prison? Or do you think someone will?
I don't think someone's gonna do anything, but I think he's in such shit health anyways. I think give him maybe 10 years. I don't know if they're gonna appeal this. They
Oh, they're
probably
going to appeal.
will.
I'm
I
like, they're
mean,
going to appeal.
yeah. I mean, as much as,
But I just wonder
who
how many other people he did stuff to or took money and now he's in jail with them. I mean, as an
well,
attorney, you probably pissed some clients off along the way.
well, and they can appeal this case and it'll only serve to get rid of this, but he has 99 actual cases regarding
Against
taking
him.
money from people
Yeah.
that Judge Newman is also involved in. So, and Newman doesn't have much of a say in terms of that kind of stuff unless it's a non-jury or whatever
Do
trial,
they
or a
have the
bench
death
trial, but
penalty there?
they do, but the prosecution did not seek it.
Why? Yes, I'm
That's
from
a really
Texas.
good question.
Sorry,
There
we
must
kill
have been
people
a
quickly here.
no. I mean, that's a really good question. I can't remember specifically. I'm sure
Okay.
somebody's screaming at their phone. Um, but they chose not to. What killed me, and I don't know if you've seen this yet, but I'll share it with you later. But Judge Newman's sentencing remarks, he basically said, you realize that they chose not to give you the death penalty because I mean, summing it up, you should have it. Because Alex Murdaugh and Judge Newman actually have worked together for like 2 decades. Because the judge is from that area and they chose to have the trial in that area. And I think they didn't really motion to move it
I should
because I
say
think
they didn't ask him to recuse himself. Did they think that he was going to go in their favor, maybe?
I think so. I also think that they chose not to move the trial because they thought Murdaugh had enough people in his back pocket who could be on the jury. And the prosecutors were like, from the other end, they were like, there are enough people in this town who are on the jury that are pissed off at the Murdaughs. So, so it's like, I
Yeah.
mean, but I think it came down to evidence. I don't think it came down to whether people were pissed or
Oh,
biased or
I
whatever.
mean, I heard, even though it was circumstantial, but like I said, that video, when you said you were not there, and I mean, that pretty much to me, that seals it.
And then you hear you screaming, Bubba, don't look careful. It's truly like, if I heard about Bubba getting Bubba saved the day. Let's be honest, Bubba saved the day. So,
Well,
God bless Bubba.
I think they're going to appeal it. And I'm glad you stayed on top of it because I just couldn't.
I don't blame you.
I just,
And
I'm,
yeah,
everybody has forgotten about this boat wreck now and all of those kids, the boyfriend of the young, I mean, just watching this young man on the video the night it happened, when he goes after him, he goes after Paul. I
yeah,
mean, you could just hear the heartbreak. And
yeah,
in the documentary, he even still says, Paul did a shitty thing, killed my girlfriend, but he didn't deserve to be murdered. I'm like,
yeah.
what a good person you are.
Here's here's what I'm hoping. I know Paul has died and he's not serving time. And that's not really the point here. The point is Alex Murdaugh worked his magic, right? And that's why Paul was not put in jail. And I hope that not them bringing up the boat thing, but the fact that it was part of this trial ish in terms of like him swinging his dick around.
Right.
Like, I'm Alex Murdaugh.
Right.
Here's my fake police badge. But and the fact that he went to jail with that involved in the case, I hope that brings some sense of closure, more so than Paul being murdered, because that doesn't solve anything, right?
Well, because murder, I mean,
But yeah,
Alex, I mean, what do they say? Apples don't fall far from the tree.
yeah, they don't. I'm interested to see how Buster takes this up, because he's like the last remaining Murdaugh, right? And he already got kicked out of college for plagiarizing.
Right. That's exactly.
Um,
He needs to
but
move.
and his dad bought his way back into it.
I know, but he needs to move, change his name, get a therapist.
He won't. He won't. He's a Murdaugh. They don't do that. They don't do that. They cover things up.
It's what we've always done. Why would we do anything different?
They pretend that everything's fine.
Yes, this is sad. I'm already pouring a second glass and we haven't even
like
gotten to cases.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We'll leave the conversation for, I think, the younger brother is the cleaner for another day.
Okay. Well, are you really ready for this case? And I hope you have a drink.
Let's go. I've got my water.
Oh, okay, guys. He's scared. He's drinking water. He doesn't think he can handle drinking alcohol.
I mean, I've got a couple Bud Light in the fridge.
Hey, I just bought some Mick Ultras yesterday.
All right, let me. I'll go get him real fast.
Okay.
Real fast.
And then while he's gone, I can talk about him because he can't hear me and he will not hear this episode until it's released. So a little tidbit about JT. JT also dresses up. I forget the organization. He's a mascot there in the town where he lives. He dresses up as this cute little furry creature. And I think we need to blow up the Facebook group for anyone who listens to this and ask him to share a picture of him dressed up as the cute little mascot. Because if we get people asking, I will be more than happy to share a copy of the picture. And he will not hear this, so he will not know. So let's just keep it a secret.
And I'm back.
And just so you know, everyone else will know something that you do not know until you listen to the episode after it's published.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Well, here we are.
Here we are. Hold on. I forgot. Just so we'll remember. I just noticed if we share this video, you've got your work name underneath your video.
Oh, shit.
So you need to change that.
How do I?
Because I don't know how to remove it. So we just won't release this one on video.
That's because I was using my work.
Oh, I do it all the time. I've changed all of them to say just my first name now because I forget. And I'll do one,
There you go. I fixed it.
Oh, look at that. Now he fixes it. That's okay. But there is a secret on this episode that all of our listeners will know and not JT. He will have to stay tuned.
Oh, no. I have to stay tuned to myself.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you have a drink because
here we go.
Just going to start off and say when this case happened back in December 2019,
Ugh.
I followed this case because I was in shock. It happened in Austin, Texas. Heart was broken, but it got a lot worse.
Oh,
And it made me question a lot of things in life. So,
like, why?
remember the subject? Friends.
Yeah, I do. Ah,
Yeah, who
yes.
commit crimes against friends. So, December 12th, 2019 was a Thursday. It was kind of a dreary day here in Austin, Texas, but Heidi Broussard had a new baby who was a couple of weeks old. Her name was Margot, and she had a son, Silas. She did the mom thing, pack up the kid, get the other kid, get him to school. Adjusting to two kids. A lot of people don't realize you go from 1 to 2. It is a big adjustment.
It's like 2-on-1 to man on man, and it's just not. Yeah, it's hard.
So she got up, took Silas to school. Everything went well. But then Heidi's fiance, Shane, got home around 2 o'clock. Heidi and Margot were nowhere to be found. Heidi's car was there. Her purse was there. All of Margot's stuff was at the apartment. Only thing that was missing, Heidi, Margot, cell phone, car keys. But the car was there.
All right. Oh, no.
And then Shane gets a call from the school. Hey, are you going to come pick up your son? He's still here.
Heart out ass on the floor. That's how I would respond.
And it gets worse. So he does what any dad would do, went and picked up Silas, comes back home, starts calling everybody, hey, my wife over there, my girlfriend there, just hunting her down. Nobody had heard from her. So they called the police. And I think in the history of Texas, law enforcement got involved so flippin' fast. I mean, it hit the news wave that night because they knew something was wrong. What woman who has a 3-week-old baby just disappears? She literally disappeared.
Yeah. Police are apt to respond real fast with children, especially infants. So,
and the interesting thing, they did not release an Amber Alert
that's weird.
Because mom was missing too. They didn't know. Did she run off? Did her and Shane get into a fight? Did she run off?
Wouldn't you still issue an Amber Alert though? If somebody takes the baby?
Well, they thought maybe mom took off because that's just parental. She has every right to take her baby.
Yeah.
Can't stop her. So they did not issue an Amber Alert, but it was suspicious enough because she didn't pick up her son.
Yeah,
and I think that's probably they were like, what? And her car was at the apartment. And Margot's car seat, her stuff, it was all there. So, yeah.
I'm so confused.
Yeah. So, Shane and Heidi had been together for a really long time, had not gotten married. They were engaged, but they do have 2 children together.
Okay.
Uh-oh. The bad thing about drinking Prosecco. Burps. Pardon me. So Shane, of course, called Heidi's family. They came down from Louisiana, to help search and things. Sure. The thing I remember most watching the news the night it happened, they had Shane on there and he did a plea. Bring my baby back. Bring back my woman. Mm-hmm. Instantly on social media, everybody said he did it and started referencing Chris Watts and thinking he was.
All right.
But I remember I looked at Handsome Hubby and I said, but if he wanted to kill his wife and the baby, why not kill son too?
Yeah. Family annihilators don't usually. Well, I don't know. I don't have.
And then
to back that
people
up.
were like, well, maybe he found out the baby wasn't his. And so instantly everybody turned on him on
armchair detectives.
Yeah. So I just remember he looked like, trying to think of a good explanation. He looked distraught. He was upset, but you could tell he was somebody who wasn't comfortable with these cameras on him and talking.
Right.
He looked like somebody that is never going to volunteer to go do public speaking anywhere. He's not like you or I. He's not okay with talking to people. You could tell he was like, it was hard, but he did it. So I felt so bad. And you're a grown ass man and you're crying on TV and you're blubbering and you're snotting. I mean, that's a lot. But he took a lot of criticism from people about it. So they did instantly look at Heidi's phone. It had been turned off. The last time it pinged was at her apartment. So police came to believe she came home. Her purse was there, all that, and there was money in her purse. So it wasn't that someone stole that. So Heidi had a lot of friends. She was still on maternity leave because she worked at Cracker Barrel. Yum.
There's a theme in both our cases.
I'm like, oh, is there? Oh, I'm like,
there is. That's weird.
Okay. So, but she had a lot of friends. So her friends were helping, look for people. They even got Texas Equine Search involved, which is an amazing organization. If you haven't heard about it, everybody should go look. But everybody was distraught. Well, one of Heidi's best friends that she had been friends with for many years, Megan, who was also pregnant at the same time as Heidi. They were both pregnant. She was in the delivery room with Heidi when Margot was born. Mm-hmm. She even stayed at their apartment with Silas while Shane stayed at the hospital with, mom and the new baby.
Yeah.
I mean, best friend, right? Don't you do that? And she even talked with the people at Texas Equine Search. Hey, what can you do? What do you need help with? I appreciate y'all looking. But all of Heidi's friends were coming forward. All of her girlfriends she had a group of friends, some from, middle school, high school, after, they all came together and even had a group chat and were on phone calls supporting each other. So she had a really good friend group plus her family. So
good.
I think maybe that also helped get the word out in Austin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And plus, get things moving. But Megan wasn't able to come and help them look because she gave birth to her daughter, Luna May, December 8th or 9th. So she gave birth right before Heidi went missing. Heidi went missing on the 12th and she gave birth just a couple of days before. So she obviously couldn't give birth, come down and help. Right. So Megan did admit, and just so you know, her name is spelt the strangest way. Every time I look at it, Magen, but it's pronounced Megan.
I mean, Megan. Yeah. That is quite a literal spelling.
I know. I was like, it's different, right? Not
it's
just
like if mine was Jaytee. J.T. Megan.
Spell that J.T. now. And maybe it's hard for me because my daughter-in-law is Megan and hers is spelled the right way, just with an extra N. But anyway, I look at it and I'm just like, I want to say Magellan or Magen.
Yes, it's Magellan.
I don't know why every time I look at it, I'm like, should it be Magellan or something?
Sounds like something Beyonce made name her daughter. Magellan. Oh God, I've gone after Beyonce now. Oh gee, I'm screwed. I'm canceled.
I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut and say y'all go for it. But there was no luck. They were not finding anything. So Austin police did the right thing. They got the Texas Rangers and the FBI involved very quickly.
The Rangers.
Texas Rangers. So, which to me was great because a lot of times you hear a lot of the local law enforcement, they don't want to call in the Rangers. It's almost, you don't want to call the FBI in. They're going to steal it. They called in both.
Well, listen, you call the Rangers in, Chuck Norris shows up. He starts roundhouse kicking everybody. It's a lawsuit. It's just a legal nightmare. So,
Oh, Chuck Norris, yummy. Now that we're talking yummy. Sorry, handsome hubby, but yummy.
no, listen, when he went up against Bruce Lee, that was a very attractive Chuck Norris, So, that was quite some time ago.
That was some time ago. We all some age better than others, but they did get some tips. So she went missing on the 12th. On the 19th, 18th or 19th, they got a tip from somebody that lived there in the apartments who said they saw Heidi with the baby outside talking to a female and got into a car and left with this female.
So she knew the person.
So they're like, she didn't seem to be in distress or anything like that. So she knew the person. Well, the police were like, is there anybody who doesn't like her? They go through the normal thing, but pretty quickly, within like 24 hours, they took a bunch of photos and showed them to the witness.
Yeah.
It was Megan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you would think that was going to be the worst thing. Well, Megan admits that she talked to Heidi that day. She said they talked because Heidi was having problems breastfeeding.
All right.
It said she didn't see her, but she talked to her, which police, once they got the records, cell phone records, they're like, yeah, you lie. So there goes those bubbles again. Whoops. Hey, you need the bubbles for this, because this
just
is
like her alibi. Pop.
Because this is where it gets. So the Texas Rangers decide to go to Megan's house. Megan lived in a suburb of Houston, probably 165 miles from Austin. So they decided to go there. They put a helicopter up, survey, see all the property. They found it really suspicious that a car registered to Megan was in the backyard, but not on a driveway in the backyard, and pulled up to try to hide it behind the house. So they found that suspicious.
Yeah. She should have just put it on blocks. It would have been less suspicious.
Right. True. Take the tires off.
Yeah.
But they decided to play it cool because they had no evidence of anything besides, and she was a friend.
Yeah. Right.
So they decided to sit and watch the house. Well, they saw a guy leave. So they followed the guy to Tarjay. Everybody knows where Tarjay is. Followed him in where he was going to buy baby formula. Because remember, Megan had just given birth,
right?
So they talked to him. He tells them all about Luna May and tells them that, Megan had a baby. I had to be gone for a work trip for 24 hours. So she went to the beach with her cousin. She went into labor while she was there, had the baby, came home the same day. I got home the next day and I got to meet my baby girl, Luna May.
That entire story is really easy to fact check.
It is. And that's what's great, right? That you can do that, right?
Yeah.
So he invites the police back to his house. But before they head there, the police goes, well, let us show you this missing persons flyer of Heidi and Margot. He looks at it and he goes, that's my daughter, Luna. That's the baby in my house.
Oh my God. What? So many hearts dropping out of asses in this story.
He tells the police he and Megan had broken up. And when he broke up with her, she informed him she was pregnant.
She
So
didn't.
they stayed living in the same house for the 9 months while she
Uh-huh.
was pregnant. And he was like, her belly grew appropriate like it was supposed to. He goes, I even felt it. It was hard. He goes, but we weren't together, so I never saw it. He goes, but she had a baby and we have a
Oh
baby.
my
So I don't know what's
God.
going on. So they go back to the house. The police ask her, where'd you give birth? Somewhere in the woodlands. I don't remember the name of the place.
So not the beach.
So do you have any documents when they release you from the hospital? They give you this packet with all these papers, stuff for the baby. No, they didn't give me anything like that.
She went to the hospital hair care tire center. Uh, she got a free tire rotation with her birth. But they didn't give her no papers. They
They
gave her
did
the
not.
inspection papers, but
They
not
did.
the baby papers.
They did.
Oh
Um,
boy.
so while the police are talking with her, Chris was his name. He gives the police, feel free, look around, do what you want. Because he was kind of thinking the police were kind of crazy and that they had gotten things mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
Till they go out in the backyard where that car is.
Yeah.
And guess what? They smelled.
Oh no. No, no, no. Let me guess.
Yeah.
He didn't check her car either. This estranged boyfriend.
Decomp.
Oh boy.
Lo and behold, they took Megan. They arrested her.
Yeah.
She had killed Heidi,
Uh-huh.
stuffed her in a duffel bag, and
Oh,
stuck her in the trunk of the car.
that what?
And come to find out, she was never pregnant.
Nope.
She faked it for 9 months.
Bunny boiler.
They found evidence on her internet searches. She had been plotting that for 9 months.
9 months.
Guys, not just to steal a baby. I mean, I get women want a baby.
Mm-hmm.
They go out and do some crazy shit, right? She didn't want the baby. She wanted to keep Chris.
Yeah, right.
But she stole her best friend's baby, who she was in the delivery room with,
That's why she was in the delivery room.
and then killed her best friend.
Yeah,
Baby shower you're hosting, you're sharing, you're both pregnant at the same time, you're bonding even more.
I
And
think
it was
everything
all a lie.
everything she was doing in that 9 months was to be as close to that baby as possible, not the friend.
Well, they did say that some of Shane's family found it odd that when Shane was holding Margot right after she was born, that Megan went over there and picked her up and took her from him and was
Yeah,
holding him.
yeah.
And at first I was like, that's crazy. And then I thought, I don't know. When my granddaughter was born,
That's different. That's different.
I kind of walked over
That's
and said, hey,
different.
my turn, and took
That's
it.
different. You know that's different. That's so different. That's not just a friend.
Okay,
That's
but I'm
grandma.
thinking if my best friend Cheryl, if I would have been in the living room, I could have seen me been like, okay, you've had your 2 minutes. Give me my 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, but it sounds like she just walked over and grabbed the baby. It sounds like she didn't say anything. She was just like,
Then
mine.
she went and slept in their house and hung out with their son, pretending to be pregnant, giving birth any day. She was doing
Yeah.
like a couple weeks just to keep a guy, not because she had a desire to be a mom.
He better had a hell of a dick. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have
I,
said that, but but like, what is so special about this dude?
well, I mean, I'm going to say maybe she had some mental health issues as far as she just wanted to be loved.
Okay. All right.
And
Okay.
you didn't, now, interesting while doing some research, Megan got arrested before this all happened for stealing from her job. So there was like some
Okay.
felony theft charges coming.
Yeah.
And he owned the house. She was
Ooh.
going to be out on the street
Okay.
facing that. I mean, I think there were some other things that she
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah.
Oops. Well, that got a little floppy. She okay, I guess not everybody can see what got floppy. It was my microphone, people. It was my microphone.
Yes.
It was not JT. Not JT. But anyway, they arrested Megan. They took the baby. They had to do DNA on the baby because Chris saying it's Luna May. It looks like
Right.
all of this. Well, I can tell you, Margot was perfectly unharmed and she was returned
Good.
to her dad on December 23rd.
I'm so glad that happened at least.
And now I'm going to say Megan's last name because it just cracks me up. Fieramusca.
Muscaca. Fieramuscaca?
Musaca. I'm just like, is that caca?
Muscaca. Moose be shit. Moose be shit.
But they did charge her with capital murder and kidnapping and tampering.
Yeah.
And autopsy determined that she had strangled Heidi. So up close and personal murder of your best friend. They've been best friends, like I want to say almost like 20 years or something. And they met at church camp.
So like spitting on the sidewalk in Texas gets you the death penalty.
Well, she did not get a death penalty. And
what?
the reason why.
Oh, she pled guilty.
She did. And they did a plea deal with her. She was just sentenced last week.
Oh, wow.
Or in February. So she was just sentenced 55 years in prison.
Like not 55 years before eligible for parole, just 55 years.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I don't think it's long enough.
No.
The reason they did it is the Rangers did not have a search warrant.
Oh.
And they were worried on a appeal that it could come back, even though the Rangers say there was a baby missing. Yeah. We talked to this man who invited us into his house.
Yeah.
They were worried on appeal that she could totally get away, and they wanted some justice for the family. 55 years.
Damn it, Chuck Norris. You can't just kick down doors.
But he didn't. The guy who owned the house offered for them to come in and even gave them permission. But they were worried some juror would be like, oh, she just wanted a baby. She would have that sympathy, which, you know how many people are in foster homes, foster care? But then she couldn't have kept the guy.
Right. And if it's not her home, the chances of her getting a kid anyways are slim down. But it's a smart move. It's a smart move by the state.
But if she would have killed the child, she would have had a hard time in prison. Killing a female, they're not going to treat her any different. Like if you would have hurt a child, they would be. So yes, she's in prison, but I'm sorry, 55 years is not enough.
It's a long time in a Texas prison.
It is. It is. But Shane,
she's going to be,
still lives in Austin.
80 something.
She'll be 81
something. 81.
Well, if she
makes it.
I'll be honest, I could not Google when she's eligible for parole, because I'm betting you it's 25 years.
Yeah.
25, 30. And can't.
That's a really callous crime. Mm-hmm. And one that I don't think she'll get out. Texas wants to keep their people in. So
not if she is on her best behavior. I mean, she's not going to kill anyone else in prison for a baby. So what's she going to get in trouble doing? Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess if there is a crime that somebody could say, well, I'm not going to do it again, chances are that situation's passed, therefore she's not. So
So the family says they're okay with it. I'm not okay with it.
Okay.
They said it's some form of justice.
Right.
Shane lives with the kids still here in Austin. Everybody's doing well. Did say that the entire family is still in therapy,
Yeah.
learning how to deal with it. Because they said not only did they lose this beautiful person, but it was done by someone that you kind of considered family.
There's a lot of trust that is demolished permanently. Well, maybe not permanently, but with a lot of help,
That's,
it can come
I
back.
mean,
But
but
yeah,
how do you, I mean, I'm sorry. That's, I don't know. So,
yeah. All right.
ready for my tip of the day?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Men, if your woman comes to you and tells you she's pregnant sometime during the 9 months, go to the doctor with her, see the ultrasound, hear the heartbeat, put your hands on that naked belly. Do not trust that there's a baby in there because they sell. I went and looked. You can buy a kit online for a baby bumps, and they send you the progression bumps.
Yep. Yep.
Men, women are conniving. They're evil. They're bunny boilers. They are batshit crazy. They will trap you. They will do whatever they can. And when their punani stops working, they're going to use a pregnancy.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
I
did he
mean,
not? I know y'all were broke up. You're sleeping in separate rooms.
but
How, as a dad, did you not say, "Oh, can I go to the doctor with you to hear heartbeat?" And maybe he did. And she was like, "No, we're not even together anymore. You
yeah.
shouldn't. It's private." I don't know, but I'm just saying that's a red flag. If she does not want you to go, get out, run before she
At
goes and
least,
steals somebody's baby.
call Oprah, and have a conversation, or
Wouldn't that,
Jerry.
I say, wouldn't that be more like, what's his name? Povich? Is he still
Maury
around?
Povich.
Is he still around?
No, no, they
Dr.
ended that
McGraw or Dr. Phil? Is he still?
Dr. Phil. No, what you need to do is you need to communicate.
But
Nope.
he's in Texas, isn't he? He used to be. I
I
don't know if
don't
he still
know.
lives here,
He's a crock.
but at least go to the doctor. Don't just see the ultrasound picture because I've heard of people, "Oh, I saw the ultrasound picture." And he said he put his hand on her belly and it was hard.
I,
I
you can push.
I would say it's been a long time since I've been pregnant, guys. My youngest is
Yeah.
29, so it's been a bit. I don't remember my stomach ever being hard like a
No.
desk. I mean,
I mean,
hard, but still it has a little give.
yeah, yeah. Nicely done, Megan. You had abs. That
But so I'm going to just tell you what scares me about this. Your best friend, like, I have a couple of best friends, but my oldest best friend, and yes, she's older than me. So yeah, she's old. She knows shit about me that nobody else in this world knows about. I mean, I even
Mhm.
gave her a pillow that said, "We have to stay friends because you know too much."
It's true. I got a buddy like that.
But what do you do when that's the person who does this? I mean, it's one thing if they sleep with your husband. That's horrible, but that it can happen. It's not right. That's not intentional
Yeah.
to
I
steal your baby and kill you. That's 9 months of planning. That wasn't just a passion. It didn't just happen. She didn't lose a baby and then needed to recapture a baby.
yeah.
She
That's
plotted against her best friend. Why didn't she plot against all these other crazy people who post that, "Hey, I've got a crib for free," and then they take you, kill you, and steal your baby? The
that's also a
personal
case.
I know, but that personal, that's the part that your best friend is the person who's got your back and that knows
Uh,
every intimate secret about you. How that is the one person who you should never have to worry about killing
you
you.
know, that's something that I've always wondered too, and this might not have anything to do with it, but and I'm gonna sound like I'm just like, you kids, but like growing up with like social media, and the concept of Facebook calling friends, and that definition is very loose now. And you can be friends with somebody online or even in person for a decade plus. And
But they met as children in church camp.
well,
Church
there's your
camp.
first problem. That's your first problem. But
But at church camp. So it wasn't a virtual friend. It was somebody that the parents, she was in and out of their house. I mean,
yeah,
I just
it
can't.
tells it tells me that the whatever, whether it was temporary, permanent, whatever, the psychosis, whatever was going on, was pretty strong
I
to
think she was just
overcome that
evil.
entire history. Well, yeah, I mean, it's it's pretty it's pretty fucked up to throw away like a 20-year friendship like that.
And to think about
Um
strangulation is up close and personal. I
oh
would be
yeah.
less offended if she would have shot her. This is up close and personal.
I bet you she never even left the car again. You know what I mean? I think it happened in the car. Um,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
I couldn't find. I didn't see that they made her allocute or anything.
Mhm,
Um, if so, the news hasn't printed it. And when I looked at
mhm.
the court papers, I didn't see. So they do not know or they've not shared with the public exactly how she got her in the car. What did she say? Why did she leave her purse? Did she call from downstairs? I have so many questions. So I
Yeah.
literally am like, I'm safe because I'm too damn old to have kids. And no offense, Cheryl, I could kick her ass if she tried something like that. But
Watch out, Cheryl.
the violation that it's your best friend, it's the person that you
Yeah.
go to for everything. And I think that's what just, I can't, I don't get it. Go steal
No.
somebody's baby that you don't know. Not condoning stealing babies, anyone, but stealing a baby, killing your best friend. I mean, those are just two big.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, that's not you're gonna hate my case the same way. So
Wow. I will let you tell yours. And guess what? We're going for glass number 3. Um,
Brrr.
I might need to go in late tomorrow.
God.
So,
All
but
right.
do you
So
agree for the other thing, real quick? Because you're a
yeah.
dad. Do you
Uh-huh.
agree that men should follow my tip and not
I
their
think
tip,
well,
the tip? Did you go with your beautiful wife
oh God, yeah.
at least one? I mean, you don't have to go to every
Oh,
doctor's visit. You don't need to get all
no,
in
no,
up in
no.
my stuff, but one time to hear the heartbeat. Who
I
doesn't want that? I don't care how much
there's
you hate her because she's pregnant and you want to get rid of her.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of ignorant men out there that don't want to know, that don't want to go to the appointment, that have no idea about a woman's body, that don't understand what's happening. There are people who think you give birth out of the same, tract that you pee out of.
No, there's
So,
not.
oh, yes, there are. Oh, yes, there are. And if you're listening and you're one of those people, you better figure yourselves out because this is true. Oh, are you kidding me?
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to go
Like
look.
Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz still doesn't know. I don't know how he had kids. Ted Cruz doesn't know how he had kids.
He's out
He was
on duty.
he was too busy heading to Mexico. Um, it's just like there are a lot of people out there. There are a lot of men out there that don't understand this process.
Okay, guys, I
I'm not
just
saying it's the majority.
gave it. Okay. I only
Dude.
had to type in a couple of the words
Uh-huh.
and it filled it in for me. So it
Told
is a
you.
heavily
I told you. This is how ignorant this is.
It comes up too easy to tell that other people have Googled this.
Yep. This is toxic masculinity at its finest, where you don't want to know what's happening. You just, if you don't know, you don't need to. You don't have to be responsible. Like this is the thing, right? So it surprises me, but it doesn't surprise me. Oh, we got the third glass of wine jitters.
You know how you read and it gives you all the things?
Oh,
and
yeah.
then it gives you the little gray boxes of other related searches.
Oh, regale me.
A woman has 10 holes in her body and can only get pregnant in one. This is a fact. I had to clarify that it's a fact.
It's a fact. It's a fact. Y'all, it's a fact. It's a fact. You know what? January 6th was just a big tour group. It's a fact.
Do they think if you swallow, did you get pregnant? I mean,
yes.
It's a fact. You can only.
I'm telling you. Teri, you are grossly underestimating.
Parents, do a better job of educating your children on the bodies.
Because the fucking schools won't anymore.
Well, they can't because we've got too many. Yeah. But
yeah.
Okay. I did not believe you and I thought you were just trying to be funny.
I'm not.
And now I am horrified that we have to tell it's a fact that women can only get pregnant in one hole. I wonder if that's their belly button.
Oh, it's got to be the belly button. Right? That's how that works.
Okay. I feel better because your case is going to be much lighter, right?
I mean, no, not really.
Okay.
All right. So I'm on my third
If
beer.
it ever becomes legal in Texas, I'm going to have to get, I listened to another podcast and they do gummies. They're in Colorado.
Yeah.
They do gummies before their cases. And by the end of their case, they have me rolling on the floor laughing. And they say they can sleep better after all this trauma. I would need one of those tonight after this.
So you're going to need to lose Abbott. So Abbott.
Already lost his legs. Can't we lose him?
Jesus Christ. Don't cut that out.
What?
I was like, keep your wife from being canceled. Cut that out.
Phil would agree, but yes, Phil, please take that out.
Yeah. Just let's save us the extremism.
Okay. Okay, Phil, don't put this in there. You know that the other law he put in place is there's a cap on how much money you can get from lawsuits for injuries. But yet,
is that because he only got so many?
He got 4 times the amount and is still getting annuity money to this day. And he capped it for others.
He already got it. Politicians don't work for anybody.
But I'm like, he is still getting that from the injury to his legs, and he stopped other people. He should know what it's like and what you have to go through, and he should have asked for more for people.
He doesn't. We've got a bunch of we got vets that are on the right side in Congress, and they're voting against veteran stuff. So it's well.
Okay, I'll let you go now. I'm going to sniff my lavender candle.
Well, that's probably good. I think it's safe to say that murder is gross. One human carrying out a sentence for whatever reason on another human being. And this case is one of the turncoats and terrible friends cases. It's one of the worst cases of backstabbing I've ever seen, and it's not a joke, it's true. So the murder of Skylar Neese was one that is shocking. Are you trying to think of it?
I am. That name sounds so familiar. Okay, keep talking.
It's back in 2012 to 2014.
Keep talking.
Yep. It was shocking, not in the incredible violence and brutality, even though that's probably shocking too, but in the blasé way in which at least one of the friends behaved before, during, and after the murder. So let's go ahead and let's just get going.
Where did this take place?
In Morgantown, West Virginia.
Okay, no, it's not the one I'm thinking. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So Skylar Neese, her full name was Skylar Annette Neese, and her parents were Mary and Dave. And she was born February 10th, 1996. She was described as intelligent, compassionate, stubborn, and bubbly. She was an only child. She grew up and went to school in Cheat Lake, West Virginia, which is an area northeast of Morgantown. And she was a particularly gifted honor student, and the same with the other two people that we're going to talk about. So I wanted to kind of just cover the I just wanted to kind of cover the players right off the bat. So Shelia Eddy. Sheila met Skylar in second grade at a community center called Shack Neighborhood House. I don't know if I'd send my kid there, but here we are. Although the Shack kind of sounds like a cool hangout place. She was an only child, just like Skylar. She was born September 29th, 1995. Her parents were Tara and Greg Eddy. I think it's Eddie. If it's Edie, apologies to the family, but not to Sheila. They lived 20 miles away from each other pretty much, but they became friends. You have a face of, do I have a question or a thought?
Is this the Slender Man case?
No.
Okay.
Certainly sounds like it could be, though.
Okay, but just when you said two friends and they lived far
Yeah.
away, and I'm like, is this the
Well,
Slender Man?
this is three friends. But I think that was two, to be honest with you.
It was three teenage girls that were friends. Oh my God. Okay.
So Sheila's father had a serious car accident, was injured, left him partially disabled and unable to work. Her parents ultimately divorced in 2000. Her mother remarried to James Clendenin, and they moved to Morgantown, where Skylar and Sheila finally were in high school together at University High, October of 2010. And then the final person is Rachel Shoaf. She met Skylar and Sheila at University High as well. She was redhead, somewhat gifted, aspiring actress, singer. There's photos online of her on stage. She was also an only child, so all three are only children. She was born June 10th, 1996. Her parents, Patricia and Rusty, also had divorced. She was very religious and was an active participant in Young Life and attended a Catholic school before University High. But I think we found out per the last case that it doesn't matter if you're religious or not. So as they got to know each other, they got more comfortable being together, as friends are. They began getting into trouble. They were drinking, smoking weed, breaking curfew. To be honest with you, those are kind of like the most minor things you could do.
Isn't that what teenagers do to start discovering life, pushing boundaries? Not saying it's right, not condoning it, but
yeah.
And that part of growing up?
I think so.
I mean, at least somewhat being breaking the rules.
Coming from somebody who didn't do any of those things in high school, sure.
And now look at you.
It's okay. I made up for it in college.
See, that's what I'm saying. You made up for it in college. Would you rather them do it when they're young and in your home or when they're at college?
As long as they're in the home, yes.
Yes.
Friends of Skylar and Rachel actually thought Sheila was a bad influence on them, and they would actively avoid hanging out with all of them when she was around. They thought she was mean, she was controlling, she was just bad, which does come into play, regarding the rest of this. So Skylar and Sheila knew each other for quite some time, and because of that, they were super comfortable. And when Rachel entered the mix, it seemed like dynamics had changed, and that happens with friends all the time. Like, I don't know about you, but like when I'm interacting with friends from two different sets of friends, it's almost anxiety inducing.
I know, but girls, and I'm one, we be bitchy and a little bit territorial over our friends. Like my best friend has another best friend. Luckily, I like her other best friend, but I'm still the bestest best friend.
Right. Of course.
She probably feels the same way, but bitch, I'll take you down.
You've got the wine glass to prove it. It's fine.
Right, bitch, I'll take you down. So no, it does. It changes dynamics because
it does.
There's jealousy.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a natural human.
And I mean, even I felt the same way, so it's on both sides of the fence, but loyalties started to shift in this threesome. But everything seemed to be okay until sophomore year. At some point, Skylar was actually sleeping over at Sheila's house. I think it was Sheila's house in the summer of 2011. They had been drinking, and then she ended up watching Sheila and Rachel have drunken sex with each other.
Okay, wait a minute.
I know. I'm just
That
telling you
went
what happened.
a whole different direction.
Yes.
So they were
Yes,
also
it did.
experimenting with their sexuality.
Sheila and Rachel were, yes.
Okay.
Anyways, arguing ensued because Skylar had to sit there and watch this happen. And then that sleepover ended, and thereby exposing a rift between Skylar and Sheila.
I mean, who wants to sit there and watch that?
Yeah, it's a little
like,
little odd.
It's a little
just
odd.
Like you're drunk too, right? So this is cool. No. Rachel and Sheila began to get closer while Skylar was starting to feel like she didn't belong in the group any longer. On September 6, 2011, there's a lot of tweeting going on in this case, just FYI. She tweeted, "I'd tell the whole school all the shit I have on everyone," which is a lot. Hashtag if I could get away with it.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, so, this was a reaction to the changes that were happening, and it was a referencing what she saw Rachel and Sheila engaging in at the sleepover. And Sheila and Rachel started dressing alike, and Skylar turned into what seemed like someone who just kind of tagged along. None of this was Skylar's fault, obviously. It's something that's happened. It's happened forever. It's a tale as old as time, but they started dressing the same, and yeah.
My heart hurts for her.
Oh, yeah. Arguments got worse, and things came to a head June 2012 when Skylar and Sheila went to Myrtle Beach, and they spent the entire time arguing. The whole time. The whole time. At some point, I would just say, all right, I'm leaving. I'm going home. But yeah, they got home.
What age were they?
2012. They were...
So, I mean, they were still young.
Sophomores going on juniors.
Yeah, you're still young, and you want to fit in. You don't want to... Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they got home, and Sheila told Rachel that Skylar must die. Yeah. There's a lot of left turns in this case.
Just out of the blue. We argued, so she must die?
Apparently. Well, this wasn't the first time that happened. Quote, fellow students and a teacher at University High overheard the girls discuss best ways to dispose of a body in October of 2011. But it was in biology class, and it was during a forensic science lesson.
I'm like, but that's a normal conversation, isn't it? For everyone?
For us now, yes.
But I'm looking around going, I'm resembling this comment.
Right. But they were in a bio class during a forensic science lesson. So it's,
that would be the time that,
yeah.
Like when you're dissecting a frog. Oh, look, if you just cut this part of their body off, you could get rid of. Yeah.
Right. You're not going to talk about disposing of a body in Spanish class.
Right. So I mean, they were in the appropriate academic class.
Right. But ultimately, they were trying to figure out a way to, get rid of Skylar. In spring of 2012, Rachel told another student, quote, I wouldn't mind if she died, in reference to worrying that Skylar might blackmail them about the sleepover and whatever else was going on.
They just wanted to shut her up.
Well, and Rachel also had, this side of friends that were very conservative, not as accepting. And so things coming out about Rachel having that kind of experience wouldn't be good, right?
No, I can see that.
They despite all this, they continued hanging out together, but Skylar had no idea what was going on when she wasn't around. She had no idea. So of course she was still hanging out with them. Yes, it was uncomfortable. They were dressing the same, et cetera, but yeah. So July 2012, Rachel was supposed to go to a Catholic church camp because, of course, the irony is not lost on me.
That's what ones do.
A storm delayed the trip initially. And since Rachel knew she was going to be gone for a while, she told Shelia they'd have to go ahead and move their plan up a bit. So throughout this, from here on out, you're going to be like, oh, it was Rachel. Oh, it was Shelia. Oh, it was Rachel. Oh, it was Shelia. And somebody, but yeah. Ultimately, we kind of figure out who kind of probably was the most callous
These girls
of all
were
of them.
16.
Yep.
Sorry, guys.
They sure.
I don't do math. I had to get out the calculator because I'm like going, who? She's 16 and says, we have to move the timeline?
Yep.
They're 16.
Yep. Skylar got home from her job around 10 p.m. She had a later shift at Wendy's. That's where she worked.
Ooh, Frosties.
Yeah, I know, right? She saw her parents. She said goodnight. She kissed them. She went to bed. And around midnight, she was texted to go on a joyride with Shelia and Rachel. Shelia parked her car next to the apartment, and Skylar snuck out of her room. What Skylar would do was take a bench and put it in front of the window. She'd open the window. She'd get out of the window. She snuck out of the room, right?
I was like, say, who didn't do that growing up?
Again, me. I was boring.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, if you do sneak out of the room, do not shut your bedroom door and lock the dog in your room, because then when the dog gets upset that they're alone, they bark and they wake your parents up, and they lock the window so you can't get back in. You have to ring the doorbell. Just
why do I feel like one of your sons snuck out? Or did
No,
you?
it was me. It was moi. It was me. And my cousin. Yeah.
Right, but what was the dog's name?
Misfit.
Misfit. I love that.
It was a Eskimo Spitz. It was a white fluffy dog.
Yeah.
Misfit barked. And of course, after barking, my parents were like, what is up with the damn dog? And they're like, where's Teri, Lynn, and Angela?
Oh, I'd be sleeping on the
locked all the windows, locked up the house where we had to. That didn't work. They made me ring the doorbell. Yeah, so don't leave dogs in your room. Don't sneak out, kids.
Yeah, right. At least, take your dog with you. So prior to picking Skylar up, Shelia or Rachel or both, they put a shovel, fresh clothes, towels, and bleach in the trunk of Sheila's car. They picked up Skylar and they drove to a location called Brave, Pennsylvania. Not that far away from them, really. The border between Morgantown and Pennsylvania that's not a terrible drive. But they drove onto a one-lane back road. This wasn't out of the ordinary because they'd driven it before to get to or from Sheila's father's house, because Sheila's father lived off of Eddy Lane, named after the family, in that area. So, quote, Shelia parked the car on a spot about a mile into the road. They chatted for a while, and when Skylar started walking towards the car to pick up a lighter because they intended to smoke weed, the girls counted to 3, and
I did
on
not
this
do that.
At least not that, right?
I did not ever smoke weed.
I did not inhale.
Never ever touched it.
So they counted to 3, and on this prearranged signal, they literally just started stabbing Skylar with knives that they kept hidden beneath their hoodies.
Okay, could you give me a little heads up?
That's not as fun. So I'm sorry.
They counted to 3.
Yep.
And decided to start stabbing simultaneously. So there wasn't a leader. They were.
Well, again, you're
right
going to
now,
go back and forth.
I think they're both doing it, but a while ago, I thought it was one. Okay.
Right.
Okay,
so Skylar tried to run, but she was tackled by Rachel. Skylar managed to grab her knife and fight back. She inflicted a cut above Rachel's ankle, but was overpowered ultimately. And they killed Skylar. Shelia and Rachel attempted to bury Skylar, but the ground was too hard to dig into, so they basically decided to cover her up with rocks and branches.
How'd that work for them?
Well, we'll find out. They washed themselves in a creek. They disposed of their bloody clothes and knives. They left Skylar's turned off cell phone next to her body. They were home before dawn. And at 9:09 a.m. the day after, Shelia retweeted a message that said, quote, "Always keep your cool."
So she thought she should go to social media
Oh,
and
yeah.
post, "Always keep your cool," hours after killing her friend.
Yep.
Okay.
So Skylar's parents went to work the next day. It was a Friday and assumed she was still in bed because it was summer. I mean, I'd be sleeping in as well.
I'm like, who
Actually,
wouldn't? How do we do that as adults?
I know. Wouldn't that be nice?
Can we just sleep in?
Just want to sleep. No, I have
don't
children.
even have kids in my house and can't sleep
Yeah.
in. I have
Oh,
dogs.
No. Oh, fair.
And a husband.
And mostly the husband. You have to let him out to go to the bathroom too in the morning.
That's right.
So.
I have to just go, hey, well, no, I have to come inside to let them out to go to the bathroom since I sleep outside.
Okay. That's right. Out of choice. She has chosen to sleep outside. She has not been put outside.
Guys,
right,
when it's 42 degrees outside, it's cooler to sleep than in the house. And when you're my age and you sleep hot, you need the cold air.
A handsome hubby would agree that you've always slept hot.
That's right. So he would. That's why he put in a split for me.
A dump. So Skylar's father came home in the middle of the day because he was going to give Skylar his vehicle to take to Wendy's for her shift. Great dad. That's awesome.
That's
good
awesome,
for him.
Dad.
Skylar's room was locked from the inside. There was a bench by the window, and Dave realized that she had snuck out at some point at night. He called Shelia to see if she knew where Skylar was, and she said she talked to Skylar around midnight but hadn't seen her. Okay. The nieces called the police.
Good.
Because it's like, the phone rang again after calling the police, and it was Shelia. And she continued, but she said that she and Rachel had gone joyriding around Morgantown with Skylar, but they picked her up around 11 p.m. and got her home before midnight at the end of the street. And they said they did this because she didn't want to wake up her parents.
So they went joyriding for an hour or so? That was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she followed up her lie with a more in-depth lie.
Yeah.
So we obviously have a problem, but Shelia didn't seem to be bothered by this at all because her and her mom showed up to the nieces once the news got out that Skylar was missing. And she actually helped the family canvass to see if anyone had seen Skylar.
Oh, well, at least she knows where to look.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And we're not. Oh.
So the landlord of the apartment complex said that they could look at the video from the security cameras while Shelia was there with them. And they saw a car. And they saw Skylar, and they saw Skylar get into a car. But they didn't put two and two together, and they didn't identify it as Sheila's car. The picture's not perfect. The quality's not perfect. It could be a vehicle, but
that's a whole nother discussion about the problems with security cameras.
Right. But like Shelia was there watching this. Can you imagine? And so I can only imagine her being like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then this, like, I think it was the detective or whatever law enforcement was there was like, that looks like an SUV. She didn't have an SUV. So she was like, oh, thank God. Jeez.
How is she not sweating? I mean, she's 16. My only thought is either you're really good at lying or you're so innocent and naive that you don't realize what could potentially happen.
She's psychotic. I'll bury the lead there.
Okay.
So after seeing the video, the officer who was with him said it looked like she ran away with someone and she was probably going to come back. But her parents knew otherwise. Officer
like
Jessica,
JT, she does not do that.
Right. Officer Jessica Colbank was assigned to investigate from the Star City Police Department, which sounds fake, but it's true.
It's really Star City.
Yeah.
Like you are a star kind of star?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It sounds like it belongs in like oh shoot, Gilmore Girls. That's what
Yeah.
it sounds
That's
like. um, but so so that person was assigned, and because there was another person missing in a similar way, the FBI actually joined because it kind of seemed kind of coincidental.
maybe you have
But
a cereal.
Agent Morgan Spurlock, not the Super Size Me dude, different Morgan Spurlock, but that's the person or she. I don't want to assume. Joined in. Yes. Super Size Me. That's what happens when people go to see Magic Mike.
You know that
So
I went in Finland to see the new Magic Mike the day it was released and
I
left
don't blame you.
handsome hubby in the hotel sleeping off his jet lag.
My favorite video that I've ever gotten from my co-host on Brew Crime, Mike, was him attending a Magic Mike concert with his like a live show
Right?
with his wife, and his wife getting pulled on stage. It's the best in the world. So I love it.
Okay, the
So
fact that he took her makes
oh,
me like him even more.
Mike's awesome.
Mike,
So
I
obviously,
think you're even more amazing.
oh yeah. Um, so they interviewed Sheila July 9th. She told the same story that she said to Skylar's dad on the phone. Colbank saw that Sheila had a silver car, and he said, "Wow, that's kind of like the one in the video." But she also said that Sheila seemed narcissistic and her behavior seemed off or wrong. She was more curious about
Just
the
she
investigation
got a
than worried.
vibe.
Yeah, she got a vibe. So Colbank called Rachel. Rachel acted like she didn't even know that Skylar was missing. What? My bestest friend in the world that text backup is missing? I don't know. Um, Now she did go to church camp soon after on July 7th, but on July 6th, before that, she went boating with her mom and her mother's friend. Now there is a theory that this is where she got rid of the evidence by dumping it out of the boat, like the knives and all that other stuff going on, but that can't really be proven. It's a theory
Well, that
as to how it got gone.
I think that's a pretty good theory.
It's a decent theory, and her mom actually noticed the cut on Rachel's ankle at that point. I don't think she put two. There's a cut. There wasn't like 2 and 2 to put together, right?
I so right. I mean, and if you question me about every cut I have on me,
right. So you have to stop jumping into the pool of razor blades. That's I've been telling you.
That or fighting with the rose bush.
Oh yeah, they're assholes.
Or the bougainvillea, however you say them, with thorns that are that thick. But they're beautiful.
Beauty is pain.
Beauty is pain. Exactly.
So Rachel said that she would show up for a face-to-face interview once she got back from the camp, but she never showed.
How long
Eventually,
was camp?
I don't
2
know.
weeks?
Probably
Okay.
2.
And her parents didn't think, hey, it's your best friend. Get your ass down there. Because I'm assuming they're talking to the parents because they're 16.
Yeah. There wasn't a lot to talk about in terms of the whole parent thing, but there also weren't any appeals or anything based on that, so I'm guessing they did it correctly. That's my assumption.
Yeah.
I shouldn't assume that they did that correctly because we know more often than not that doesn't happen, but
well, and it could have slipped. I mean, we'll give them the benefit
right.
of the doubt.
So and you'll see that, at some point before their trials even start, they end up graduating to adult. They're no longer juveniles. So they're real close in that realm. So eventually she did show. She told the same story as Sheila, literally word for word.
They practiced.
Right. So authorities had no idea what was happening. These local police had no idea. And Skylar's mom.
What is the town called again?
Well,
Star City. I'm thinking
it's called Star City Police. It's Morgantown, West Virginia.
Okay, I don't think they get a lot of murders, a lot of teen. I'm sorry, just gonna throw it out there. if I'm suspecting a crime, I'm not going to suspect a 16-year-old. That's not where my brain's going to go immediately. Now,
Yeah.
it's getting there more and more as time goes on,
Right.
but that's not,
Right.
I'm going to give them 2012. No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have.
So Skylar's mom got really frustrated, rightfully so, and she called the state police, who ended up taking on the case, or at
Good
least they took the
job.
lead on the case. Yeah, I know. She had like a blow up at the local police department, and I think ultimately between that and the call,
She
things
what?
happened. So she had like a blow up. She
A
like
blow up doll?
no. She had like a moment of like, what the
Oh,
fuck are you
she
guys
blew
doing?
up. She went
She
off
blew
on
up.
them. Okay.
She blew up. She
I
had a
thought she was
blow up.
walking in with
I
one of
don't
those
know.
blow up dolls with the sign, find my daughter or something. Sorry. I'm like,
Yes, Hangover 4. Um,
okay, so
so
she got on to him.
she got on. So state
Okay.
police thought that the disappearance might have had something to do with a series of bank robberies that they were investigating. But oddly enough, one of the younger brothers of a suspect of those robberies was involved with Shelia and knew Skylar. So they're,
Okay, I could see then.
yeah, I could
I
see that.
could,
But of course, that went nowhere, right?
because
They're kind
maybe
of
she saw
grasping.
something. She overheard them talking about robbing the bank.
Yeah.
Get rid of her because she's an ear witness. Okay,
Yeah.
I can. Okay, cops, I can see that.
So September 3rd, they issued warrants for the electronic communication from Shelia and Rachel. And they also reviewed the video again and realized that Shelia was never around at 11 when she said she was to pick Skylar up. Right? So they
Oh,
didn't know that was her car at 12, but they knew she wasn't there when she
because
said she was
nobody
there.
picked her up at 11.
Right.
Ah.
So the story started to fall apart for Shelia. However, she held strong to what she was saying, even if she felt the authorities were poking holes. I mean, she inserted herself into the investigation from day one. She even cried on Skylar's bed only days after murdering her. Yeah.
Hold on. She went to this girl's house
Uh-huh.
and laid on her friend's bed and
Uh-huh.
cried and acted like she was heartbroken. And
Sure did.
she's,
Yep.
please just tell me justice is served in this case.
So, rumors spread at the high school. As rumors do, they got more intense, and Shelia and Rachel were taunted and harassed. Not everybody did this. They had some diehard friends that eventually stopped being diehard friends, but a lot of them did do this. And Rachel herself was bugged repeatedly about what happened by an old coworker of Skylar's from Wendy's. And he happened to be in the same drama class as Rachel. So he was like, do you know what happened? Do you know what happened? Do you know what happened?
Good for him.
So, right. And on top of that, there were anonymous Twitter accounts that had thorough knowledge of the case. So they were harassing them too.
Okay. They were anonymous Twitter accounts and they knew information that others didn't.
I don't know if they knew anything that others
Okay.
didn't, or they were just
They were
fluent
just
in what
taunting.
was already out there. Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
were taunting. Okay. I was hoping that
Shelia
the
wasn't.
police set up a fake Twitter account. I'm going like, good job, police detective. Put a
Yeah,
fake Twitter and draw them in to say, no, that's not how it happened,
right, right. So Shelia wasn't bothered by any of this at all.
Oh, of course.
Rachel though, Rachel started to feel the pressure.
She
So
had a conscience.
Shelia and Rachel's reactions post murder. Like I said, Shelia inserted herself into the investigation. She wanted to know what was going on. She wanted to know what she had to lie about next, and she had to make
Right.
sure she didn't contradict it with what she had said before. She wasn't very good about it ultimately, but she also was better at it than Alex Murdaugh. So put up.
Something to be said about 16-year-old naivety.
Naivete.
That. Thank you. Yes, I've had 3
It's okay.
classes. It is
Law
wine
school,
time.
schmall school, right? Rachel worked to get as far away from this case as humanly possible, the very opposite of Shelia. And she never even tried visiting Skylar's parents at all.
But that's
And she began.
suspicious too.
It
It's like
is, but
opposite ends of the spectrum.
in the suspicious categories, though, that's
I-
like the right type of suspicious.
It is. It
You know,
is.
for crying on your friend's bed that you just murdered.
Now,
So
were they still dressing alike and being them, or did it change the way they acted?
I
Or did it say?
um so here's the interest. There's an interesting part. They're still going to school, right? They're still going to school, and there's a point in which they end up being homeschooled throughout this entire investigation, right? Not the entire investigation, but near the end of this. Um, and there's good reason for that. But also, I will mention in here a plan that Rachel's parents had to kind of, they knew something was going on, they knew something was wrong, and so they made a move, both of them, to, I don't know what the deal was. I think it was basically to keep Rachel better under lock and key, or under
Okay.
their watchful eye. So and I will get there. So Rachel began falling apart. She was crying randomly. She was feeling it emotionally. Sheila's response to this, well, instead of boosting Rachel's confidence, she saw it as weakness. And instead of working with Rachel, she was so obsessed with the idea that she was getting away with her crime, she didn't see how the one chink in her story's armor was the girl in front of her breaking apart.
Weakest link,
Right?
check.
That's it. So police obtained the cell phone records and security camera footage. They knew she was texting with the girls while she was supposed to be in the car with them. Why would you text somebody if you're supposed to be in the car with them? So Sheila said that she picked her up at 11, remember?
Right.
But they were texting back and forth
Because they didn't pick her
before
up till
midnight when he
midnight.
actually picked her up. Right. So that's probably what convinced Rachel ultimately that she needed to come clean. But when she went in, she ended up lying again. She said something different, but it still kind of fit the timeline. But it might have been an attempt not to reveal anything, but to alleviate her own guilt. But that's not how this happens. That's not the actual truth, right?
Yeah. She
So
was trying to
December 6th,
lie to make herself feel better and to make it all go away.
right? Exactly. So December 16th, Skylar wasn't any closer to coming home. Her mom posted an extremely, well, it was lengthy, albeit necessary message on Facebook. She explained what had been happening with the police during the investigation, and she also called Sheila and Rachel out for lying in this post.
On
And she
Facebook?
added, yeah, and she added on top of that Skylar might have been murdered. So yeah.
Because they were still treating it as a missing person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rachel's parents, so this is what I'm talking about. Rachel's parents had to have had something was gone. And if they didn't know, they knew at very least Sheila was not good for Rachel on top of that. So what they did is they decided that Rusty and Patricia decided to move back in together. Remember, they were divorced and they were living in different places. But Rusty's place was the home where Rachel could get away from it all. But it also was a place where she could go back and forth, but also possibly be intercepted with Sheila and all that stuff. So basically,
I mean,
they decided to move back in together so that Rachel couldn't go very places.
I say, I'm going to just say, never being a parent in that situation, they were trying to make a decision on what possibly was the best thing.
Right.
Not saying that was it, but
Rachel didn't think so, because Rachel didn't know about this plan until she basically, on the way home, Rachel's mom was like, your dad's moving back in. In fact, he's already there. So when she found out, she ran through the neighborhood claiming that they ruined her life. I mean, this is the ultimate,
drama.
16 candles. Yes. There was a physical altercation between Rachel and her mom, and then Rachel barricaded herself in the room. She threatened to kill herself. The police were called out.
So did she not get along with her dad, or she just knew she wasn't going to be able to get away with shit anymore?
Yes, I think so. She no longer could leave the town or the city and go away.
So she was going to be parented. They were going to know where she was.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That would ruin a killer's life.
Yeah. So the police showed up, and she ultimately was taken to Chestnut Ridge, which is a psychiatric hospital. Shelia got nervous because she didn't know what was going on with Rachel, and she couldn't control her any longer. But Shelia knew that Rachel was going to Chestnut Ridge because Rachel FaceTimed Shelia the entire time.
And all this.
The entire you ruined my life. I'm bitch slapping my mom. I'm barricading myself in the room. Sheila's on the call the whole time.
Okay, I will say, as a 16-year-old girl, and you want to live every breathing moment of that drama, that is what one does. You bring along a friend for that drama.
Right. So really, I think that speaks of Sheila's control of Rachel. So this is what I mean. Like, it goes back and forth. You just don't know.
It's like,
oh, do you know what I mean?
They're both evil.
Yeah. So Rachel was released from Chestnut 5 days later, and her parents immediately drove her to her attorney's office downtown because she had made some kind of admission at Chestnut, and so they were like, "All right, we're going straight to the attorney." And so she met with a Corporal Gaskins and a federal polygraph examiner. And only a few questions into the interview, Rachel basically uttered the words, "We stabbed her." And when asked why they did it, she could only come up with, quote, "We just didn't like her anymore."
Then don't talk to her. Don't be friends with her. Ignore her.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just an excuse. And there's honestly, I think the whole blackmail thing is, or her see, Skylar wasn't actively really blackmailing them.
They were
right?
just worried
there
because
was just
she
the
had knowledge.
There was the possibility of that happening. Where if you just treat somebody kindly, the chances of that happening are far less.
I mean,
yeah. So
if we stabbed
right after that meeting,
we didn't. I just have to ask, how many people would you have stabbed in your life if you stabbed people that you don't like?
We'd have a lot more anti-vaxxers in this world.
We would have a lot more or a lot less?
We'd have a lot less, is what
okay, I was
say.
like, we'd have more if you stabbed them? Do they multiply with stabbing? Okay.
Yes, it seems like that, to be honest with you.
But no, I agree. I think, but I also, just because I once was a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
You think everything that happens is final. So the thought that your darkest secret's going to get out.
Yeah.
That's.
So.
And you maybe already have a screw loose.
And
I'm not sure that's
so
not
much
the right
here.
word to say it.
Well,
but
no, but I mean, there's so much here because it's like, I want to say that there was so much more leading them to this. And there's a piece of me that's like, well, maybe there is some intro into some kind of psychosis going on, or they're too young.
And then, so I know parents were divorced, things like that, but it sounds like it's a good town. They grew up in good homes. They weren't, there's no trauma or anything that we know of, or something happened to them
that we know of. Yeah, not that I could find. But Rachel ended up that day taking them out to the body. But the location was so snowy that Rachel couldn't really tell them exactly where they buried her, and they'd have to wait for the snow to melt, basically, for that to happen. Shelia was nervous, and authorities knew as much. They put bugs in Rachel's room, hoping to get Shelia to admit to what happened, which, I mean, nice, but also entrapment. But, whatever. They weren't able to pull anything out of Shelia.
Is it entrapment if you have a...
No, probably not. I don't think so. It depends on if West Virginia is like a single or a... Like, Virginia is a single party whatever state. So, like, I could call somebody and just record it, and I agreed, so it's fine. Because that's how that works. So January 16th, 2 weeks after investigators gathered evidence against Shelia and Rachel, primarily Shelia, the body of Skylar was also found, and this was 6 months after she disappeared.
Jeez.
Yeah. And I mean, truthfully, they didn't find it right away because the body was in PA. It was across state lines. So they, there's always that possibility, but then you've got to get another group in, and it's all so they're just not.
What's going through my mind is the fact that 2 16-year-olds planned this. Did they know, and just, did they know by going across state lines that it would make it harder? Or did
I don't
they just
know.
get lucky?
I think that was literally because it was on the way to Sheila's dad's house. And so I think she knew this road. She knew it was quiet. I think it was just opportunity because that's what, yeah.
Okay.
So Rachel was allowed to actually be free until the investigators got the evidence they needed. They knew Shelia wouldn't admit to anything unless she was cornered with the facts. But even then, they weren't sure she was going to admit to anything. Shelia and Rachel were hardly in touch any longer. The site that I have says it's probably because her attorney advised that. Sheila's attorney advised that, which makes sense.
Which makes sense. And hopefully her parents.
Right. The morning after the meeting that Rachel had with authorities, somehow Shelia realized it because she tweeted, quote, "First time I've ever been completely speechless," followed by, quote, "Holy fuck." Holy
she
fuck
knew
indeed.
that she's screwed.
Yep. On March 13th, Skylar's identity had been verified, and it was made public. And that same day, Shelia tweeted, quote, "Rest easy, Skylar. You'll always be my best friend," and then just continued on living. Rachel posted, "Rest in peace, baby. I love and miss you more than anything. May you finally have justice," along with a few other things. But here's what I think. Sheila's shit was callous and cold. I think she actually does believe that. And I think she also means may you finally have justice, even if it means she was involved in that justice. I mean, she knew she was already caught. She already admitted it.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's
Where's
so
justice
weird.
saying, I hope they catch.
Maybe.
Person,
maybe.
Because I'm already caught. Justice isn't justice until both of us are held accountable.
And here's how we know that that's kind of, yeah.
Skylar's poor parents and friends, the community.
Yep. And that's some of the interesting parts about this because Rachel would be of age way before Shelia. And so Rachel's name would come out, but Shelia eventually would, even though arrested, the name would not come out. But here's the fact is that the community knew.
I say they knew. They dressed as Twinkies.
Yeah. Right. M&Ms. They pissed Tucker Carlson off. So May 1st, and this is, this is how I think that, ultimately the justice comment really did either mean Shelia or she was just meaning herself too, or both. But May 1st, Rachel had already agreed that on May 1st she was going to surrender herself.
Okay.
So she stayed out, but she agreed to surrender herself, and she has her first day in court. She's moved from juvenile to adult status, pleaded guilty to the murder. She agreed to testify against Shelia in any cases.
So they were going to charge them as adults because they were close to it. Okay. I agree with that.
Yeah. And so because of the pleading and all of that, she got 20 years for second-degree murder, and Pennsylvania agreed not to prosecute her because they did murder her in Pennsylvania. So
20 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's going to be under 40 when she gets out. She could still live a whole life.
From So what I read was that she got 20 years. Uh, Honestly, I think she's going to get out before that. I think Rachel actually has an extreme amount of remorse for this.
Well,
Um,
I
but that doesn't
I'm
stop the
sorry for a
fact
lot
that
of
she
things
did
I've
this.
done too, but I've never stabbed somebody.
Yeah, and that's the big difference between Rachel and Sheila is
I mean,
that
it would be
Rachel
different
is
if they
yeah
were getting them some type of mental health therapy. I mean, you can be sorry, but are you working through
yeah
why you did it?
right
What led you
right.
there? That's what I'm just sitting here thinking because she's just going to come out pissed off at the world.
She might. I don't know.
I mean,
We'll
she
kind of
could
talk
come
about.
out. Yeah, she could come out very, it could change her the other way since she did have remorse. And
Oh
apparently
my God.
it did bother
Yeah.
her enough that she
Yeah.
just, now the other one,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
not
The
so
other one. Here
much.
we go. So while all this was happening, guess where Sheila was?
Church camp.
Nope. She was at the Cracker Barrel.
Oh, shit. There's the Cracker Barrel.
Yep. There it is. It was coming in, but she was there with her mom. Uh, they assumed that eventually news was going to get to Sheila, and they wanted to arrest her at home, but they found out via her mom that they were going to be at the Cracker Barrel. I think Tara knew something was happening. Tara knew before Sheila, and I think Tara told the police. Um, Also, there's a conversation about the fact that Tara didn't want her to be arrested at their home within that community, and so she took her out of the community, right?
I could,
Um,
but in public, you would rather do it at the Cracker Barrel while she's eating?
well, no. So they waited until she got out.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then
Okay. I
they
just see them.
intercepted her
They
basically.
all walk in at the table as she's taking a bite of her mashed potatoes.
Fuck your chicken fried steak. And then the secondary police sat down and finished it.
That had to be hard for her to make
Yeah,
that decision. That's an adulting decision
yeah,
for mom.
that's really hard. Um, so at the time, Sheila, like I said, was a juvenile, so there's no release of her name, but people knew, people found out, and once she was transferred to adult status, that was released, right? So the name released. September 17th, Sheila went in front of the judge. She pleaded not guilty to the charges. She got a great attorney. Dan Skylar's dad actually thought Sheila was smiling during the entire arraignment. She didn't care. She wasn't guilty,
Is she a
right? She
Murdaugh?
didn't do it.
Is she part of the Murdaugh family?
No, but she's got a lot of other problems going on. um, Sheila's pre-trial hearing, the rumors went around that Sheila was going to actually end up throwing in the towel, pleading guilty. When she entered the courtroom, she was no longer smiling. She cried as she sat down, and the trial hadn't even begun yet. But she was crying for herself.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't crying for Skylar. She wasn't crying for her parents or her family. In fact, during this and when she spoke, right, she never apologized. She just had her lawyer say that she, quote, recognizes Skylar's family's sorrow.
Not that I caused it,
Right.
because she fucking caused their sorrow. It
Right.
wasn't a car crash.
Yeah. So the prosecutor, in response to the guilty plea, sentenced her to 15 years to life. And Pennsylvania said they wouldn't prosecute her. She's going to be in there much longer than 15 years. I promise you that. Um, so after Sheila's, right, Rachel, during her actual sentencing, looked as if she had walked through hell. The article that I
Eating
read
her
said she
up.
was pale and bloated,
It's eating
which,
her up.
yeah. So she apologized personally to the prosecution. And also, when Skylar's aunt and uncle testified, she apologized. She didn't cry for herself. I lied when I said 20 years. She got 30 years for second degree murder.
But she has a chance at being,
She does. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, um, yeah. On flawless behavior, though. flawless behavior, Rachel will be released in 10 years. Because that's how that works, right? I don't know.
But I also, they were 16, 17 when it happened. Your
right?
brain's not developed. You don't understand. You don't understand
Right.
as much. Your brain's just not mature. It's not an excuse, but it's just it. But isn't it interesting that one showed remorse?
Yeah.
And the other one.
It's fascinating to me. And that's the whole tennis match, back and forth, who drove who to do it, things like that. And I'm going to tell you, sheer behavior post-murder, it was totally Shelia who owned that.
I agree.
I think Rachel got caught up.
I say Shelia also manipulator.
Big time.
Yeah.
So if there was anything that came out of this, was Skylar's Law. And her parents actually pushed this. Yeah, I think even before that's
where I've heard the name, the cases. Amber Alert.
Yes. So
Skylar's Law, Amber Alert.
Yeah. So the Amber Alert wasn't issued during her disappearance because it didn't meet all 4 criteria, right? So 1, a child is believed to be abducted. 2, the child's under 18. 3, the child may be in danger of death or serious injury. And 4, there is sufficient information to indicate the Amber Alert would be helpful. And so a waiting period of 48 hours had to elapse before a teenager could be considered missing. Yep. Now, we know by timeline, even an immediate Amber Alert, when they realized it the next day, it wouldn't have mattered. However, that wasn't Skylar's parents' point, right? Their point was to fix this. So Skylar's Law was set to modify West Virginia's Amber Alert plan to issue immediate public announcements when any child is reported missing and in danger, regardless of what the child is believed to have been, whether the child's believed to have been kidnapped or not. Does not matter. And so they approved this law with a 98-0 vote. It was unanimous across the board. You tell me when that happens. That never happens.
I didn't know. So everyone agreed.
Yes. And so that was passed March 27th, 2013. Now, the Senate unanimously passed it as well. But they also made minor technical changes to the bill, which the delegates voted to accept on the same day, and then it was signed into legislation May 2013. So they passed that. So I'm sure that her parents are happy that was passed. I honestly, number one, definitely should have been passed. There was no doubt about that. But also political suicide if you vote against it.
Right.
So, but
it also shows that there are some things that can bring everybody together, and you can set aside your political affiliations and your own personal bias or things.
Right. And it
can happen, people. You can do what's right for the better.
Have you looked up a picture of her yet? Because I just dropped a link in the chat. She's adorable. She's so cute. She's just like, she's 16.
Oh my God.
Right? But yeah, it's really unfortunate that they felt the need that's what needed. There's way too many other options out there, and I hope that Rachel and she's figured out. Holy shit!
We just had an audio error. Everything you just said stopped.
Which part?
The last 7 words.
Oh. We know where she ends. I honestly don't think Sheila's going to change at all. That's extremely callous to do that to do what she did after the murder. But Rachel, on the other hand, I feel like there's a chance.
I agree. She showed remorse. It bothered her. So it shows that there's something in you.
Right.
Or,
and
on the other hand, the
and,
other one, there was no soul. There was no.
Right. And it didn't only bother her in the courtroom. It didn't only bother her like when she was caught. It bothered people could visibly see pressure and they could see stress on her. And she stayed far away from this. I mean, and yes, that could mean she's trying to get away with it, but I think it was something else. But that's just my
more
opinion.
than just, I mean, yes, it's remorse, but like, oh shit, I did that.
Right.
What am I? How could I? I can just.
And I mean, it was Sheila's car. If the shit was in her car, Sheila drove. So
And what's sad,
I don't know.
Skylar's parents lost a daughter. The other two families lost daughters too.
Yeah.
They didn't lose them forever.
Right.
But their children will never be the same.
No, because they didn't
One's going to probably turn out better or have learned from her mistake. The other one, there's no telling.
Because like other than pretrial, where they kind of spent some time in juvie, they transferred to being adults before they even were sentenced. So it was just like, they went straight to prison. So there was no juvie. Not that juvie's easier or harder, I don't know, but yeah. Well, it's weird.
And they shouldn't have. You made an adult decision. You have to pay an adult consequence.
Oh yeah, a conscious adult decision, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they knew
it's not like it just happened spur of the moment. Oh, she pissed me off. No, they planned. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Just the thing that's so heartbreaking for me is that kids are so fragile with their self-confidence, who they are. They want friends. They seek all of this. They don't have the screw you, I'm not doing that. That's just wrong.
Right.
Because they don't want to, oh, well, what if they don't like me? What if the Met does this? Or like, what if the secret gets out that we got drunk and we did that? They couldn't stop and think, oh, when you get to college, most of the girls are going to get stupid and drink and do that.
Right.
Everything is so caught up.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, and Cracker Barrel, it's not your fault, but there's a pattern.
It's just, it's the shitty stuff you have out in front of the store to sell. It's the 10-year-old CDs that you have still sitting there with sound effects of the beach.
I'm like, I could not tell you the last time I've been to a Cracker Barrel.
I'm sure I've been more recently, but I mean, and I really enjoy it. Like, it's great.
I like their mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And their fried corn when they sell their fried corn, which I think is
seasonal. Their chicken, chicken fried steak, they're all that stuff. It's very good.
It's just they need to work on their merch.
Yeah, they gotta work on.
Well, but once you buy it, you're stuck with it until it sells.
It's very true.
I mean, come on.
Very true. I don't know. I don't know what the point of that is, other than making it seem homey or seem like a one-stop shop store like they used to have. So I don't know. But they're losing money. They can't be making money off of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, the lesson I learned from today, women
don't have friends.
Women, girls, be careful who you become friends with.
Well, I mean, most guys who end up committing crimes together will turn on each other.
And that's what I'm saying. Girls, so I'm trying to say, guys, you're going to do it against somebody else, not against each other. Girls, we got to stop being so catty.
I need all the women to unite and fight the right. I mean, be right is what I mean. Be right.
I know.
Don't be wrong. It's wild. it's unique. I don't know. It's just like it takes.
I think it
Maybe
has
there
something to do
is.
with female dynamics.
Yeah,
And
maybe. I mean, it's maybe there's a level of like catty, or there's a
that's what I'm
level
saying.
of like,
There's that
but
level of
but
catty, and I want what you have.
but you have to add that one. You have to take it. You have to have that one friend who's willing to take it to the next level seriously, and then have no remorse about anything, and not give a shit. And then I guess you've got it. I don't know. It's really unfortunate. I think Skylar had a really bright future ahead of her. In fact, all three of them did. All three of them were really good students.
Well,
So
but I think one didn't have a conscience. And
no.
I think her life was going to play out in some form of what it did. Just unfortunately, she took down two other people.
It's possible. I mean, we'll
Because
never know
at that,
anymore.
you'll never know, but so many mental illnesses and psychopathies and things like that are not diagnosed at that age because you can't
Right.
diagnose them until later, but they
Yeah.
start coming.
Yeah.
And if you don't have empathy and
Yeah.
if you don't have remorse, you're,
I mean, for all I know, Sheila was crying every night in her bed because she couldn't cry in person. But the fact that she was crying on Skylar's bed tells me something completely different. So
yeah, that was for show.
yeah. Well,
Guess what?
those are our cases.
Friends, girlfriends of mine, we're done. Divorced. It's over. I don't trust you. Stay the fuck away from me. I'm going to live in my house with my husband and my dogs, and I don't need friends.
That's not true.
I know it's not. Oh my God. It's
Let
just
me state the
heartbreaking.
obvious. It is. It is really heartbreaking. So, of course, the next episode that we have, we're going to come to you with straight up positive stuff.
Really? Since when?
No, because there is way too much shit in this world and nothing positive. We're only reporting. Listen, you guys start doing better stuff. We'll start reporting better stuff.
You know, I do think, and fans, you can email us or add us on Facebook. Maybe we should do an episode of funny crimes. So crimes, not
We can do
dumbass
that.
crimes, but like funny crimes. Like I recently read an article about a bank robber who was doing laughing gas before he went in to rob the bank to release his nerves, and he laughed the whole time that he was holding up the bank.
Somebody
And
watched Little Shop of Horrors too much.
he forgot to pull out the gun with the note. He pulled out a ballpoint pen and he broke out laughing. He just stood up in the air and he says, "Oh, well, I'm screwed."
Yeah.
Those kind of funny crimes. They're probably hard to find, but
No, they're not. Almost bi-monthly, we cover Brew Crime and Reverie cover something called the Brewery Report, and we pull stupid shit that has happened.
I've seen that on there, but I didn't know what it was. I was like,
That's what it is. It's our palate cleanser from all the other shit we cover, but it never fails that I will forget to research for those stories, and within 10 minutes I have 30 stories. It never fails. So I love doing that stuff. I think we should do that stuff.
We should, because I used to do palate cleansers back in the day, and it still hangs out in my mind. The guy who went to the check cashing store, because back in the day you'd go cash your checks.
Sure.
Where he always cashed his paycheck, so they knew him. And he wrote the note to give me all your money on the back of his resume.
Yep.
And he left his resume.
Checks out.
That checks
out. That's how that is. I'm telling you, we just call it a wine sampler. And that's what we do.
I think we should, because we do need them.
Yeah.
This one was rough. I didn't expect yours to be as dark as mine, but damn, you matched me on that one.
Well, yes and no. You know, it was more post-crime, the actual crime of yours.
Oh, but
that was.
But these were 16-year-old girls.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's and it was, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I think it was great. And I'm going to say Until next time, stay safe, watch out for crime, and enjoy wine time.
Bye.